From the O'Connell Center on the campus of the University of Florida in Gainesville, Sun Sports presents Florida Gator Gymnastics. Tonight, it's the Gators playing host to the Crimson Tide of Alabama. And a very pleasant good evening to you. Along with Melissa Miller-Schubeck, I'm Larry Vittel. Glad to have you with us for college gymnastics and a great matchup. Two nationally ranked teams in Florida and Alabama, two traditional powers, not only in the SEC, but the NCAA as well. And Melissa, that's not all they have in common.
Well, anytime you have Florida and Alabama gymnastics, it is a great matchup. And this season is no different. Both teams have losses to LSU and Arkansas, and they'll be looking for a win here tonight. Now, Alabama's coming off a rare home loss, while Florida had their season best performance in a win at Michigan State. I think this competition is going to come down to the last routine.
And we're looking forward to that last routine and all the others between now and then. Another thing these schools have in common, a great individual all-arounder, starting with Florida's Corey Hartung.
Well, Florida's going to look to Corey Hartung, their senior, to lead them in this competition with a win over Alabama. She's a 9-time All-American, currently ranked 14th nationally, and recently picked up her 14th all-around title. Now for Alabama, Coach Sarah Patterson has said that junior Ricky Lebegern has just been awesome. She is their rock, and they'll be looking to her to lead this team tonight. She is ranked 13th nationally in the all-around, and she has competed in every event so far this season.
Number 6, Florida. Number 8, Alabama. They're getting excited in the O-Dome, and we've got a lot of action coming your way. We'll take a break and come back with the first rotation. The Gators on vault and Alabama on the bars when we return right after this. Number 6, Florida. Number 8, Alabama. Before the meet, we caught up with Gator coach Rhonda Fain about tonight's meet.
Well, it'll certainly be a challenge. You know, it's going to be a great competition, some of the best gymnastics of the season. And, you know, we have to go out and we have to perform. We have to, you know, really do what we've been practicing in the gym and perform like we did last week. But to come away with a win, you can't have any major mistakes. And so that's what we're looking for tonight.
And first up with Florida on vault will be Amanda Castillo, the Gator junior.
She's only been in the vault lineup 3 times this year. It'll be interesting to see how she leads off this Gator team. Yurchenko, full twist. Great job. She's an All-American on this event as a freshman and a sophomore. You see nice, great lift and a pretty solid landing.
And a great way to start off the vault lineup for the Gators, a 9.825 for Amanda Castillo. Now we go over to the uneven bars, and this is Geraldine Stack-Eaton, a freshman for Alabama.
She won first place on the bars her first meet of the season against Auburn. Great leadoff bar performer for Alabama. Nice reverse heck. Little Archie on that release move to the low bar. Nice cast handstand. Giant full pirouette. And a nice tuck double back. A little step on the landing. So she has really great form on this event. Nice tight knees. Great start for Alabama.
And that matches the Florida start with a 9.825 for Stack-Eaton. Now for the Gators, it's Elizabeth Malish.
And she shared her first collegiate title with teammate Courtney Gladys on this event. Yurchenko, full twist. Little hop on the landing there. You see she had a little bit of form break there on her knees on the after flight on the full.
And a 9.750 for Malish. Of course, they've changed in recent years. Used to get 2 vaults and they take the best one, not any longer.
Exactly.
Back to the bars we go. This is Ricky Lebegern. Lebegern is a junior.
That's giant half. Giant half. Right into her release move. Nice high Jaeger. Her career best was a 9.875 against Denver. Moving very well. All she has left is her dismount. Again, nice tight form on her giants into a full twisting double back. 1 hop on the landing.
And sometimes those little steps can make all the difference.
In a competition like this, every 10th does count, and it's very important for them to work on those landings, especially going into SEC and Nationals.
Another 9.825 for the Crimson Tide. And now Melanie Sinclair for the Gators.
She's a 2008 All-American on this event, very powerful. Your Chinko full twist, great job. You see the power coming off, and she flares that out. You can see her arms flare that out. Just shows how powerful and strong she is on this event.
And our best score so far today, a 9.90. Staying with the Gators, here's Courtney Gladys, as you mentioned, shared the event title in the vault against Michigan State last week.
And this is her best event. Your Chinko, half twist front layout, great job. She's been so consistent. She was the leadoff vaulter last year for the Gators, and she nails it.
Back-to-back great landings for Florida and great scores, a 9.875 for Gladys. And that is her career best. We stay with the Gators, and here's Corey Hartung, the only Gator senior.
She's been very consistent on this event, scoring a 9.825 in the first 5 meets. A little trouble tonight. You can see that low landing.
Does that count as a fall?
It's a low land. Watch her bottom hit, so that would be considered a fall. Her right hand slipped off the horse, so just one of those uncharacteristic things. Be interesting to see how she bounces back after vault.
Loses 0.5 for that, ends up with a 9.35 for Hartung, and that'll bring us back to the bars. And here's Cassie Price from Florida. She's actually from Plantation, Florida, Broward County.
And she's awesome on this event. Look at that high release move, a Hindorf. She's an All-American on this event in 2007 and 2008. Giant full pirouette. Nice double layout, and she stuck it. Taking a look at that dismount. Great finish.
And the best landing Bama has gotten on the bars, and as a result, their best score, a 9.875 for Price. Now Miranda Smith needs to come through for Florida so they don't have to count Corey Hartung's score.
She's been a consistent and strong vaulter for UF since joining this lineup. Look at that beautiful Yurchenko full, great height. She's excited about that vault. Again, like Melanie, she flares that out with her arms and just shows the power and strength coming off of the horse.
3 years ago, she was a freshman vaulter at UCLA. Now for the Gators, a 9.90 for Miranda Smith. And our first rotation is complete. Florida and Alabama in a dual meet. The Gators with a slight lead as they head to bars. Bama will vault when we return right after this. Once again, an excellent crowd at the O'Connell Center for this meet between Florida and Alabama. Among those in the crowd, some former Gator gymnasts.
Former All-American Kristen Geis and my teammates Kim Day and Pam Titus. Also All-American Ashley Reed.
Ashley Reed sitting next to a former Gator football player, Deke Story. We're going to let you figure out which was which. Ashley Priest from Wheaton, Illinois, freshman for Alabama.
She's performing a Yurchenko full, big hop on the landing. She's only competed one time on this event this season. Like Alabama and Florida, both have had a lot of changes in their lineup as the season has gone on. And they really got to fight for those tenths on the landings.
9.80 for Priest, starting off the Alabama lineup. And here's Elizabeth Malish.
She considers the bars one of her best events. Starting with a cast handstand, Stalder handstand. Nice Tkachev. Giant Bell handstand. She was the 2008 Junior Olympic Level 10 Senior Bar Champion. Doing very well for the Gators. And her dismount, double layout, slight hop on the end. Again, lots of power going into this dismount. A great start for the Gators.
9.75 for Malish. So Alabama with a little edge after the first competitor. Here's Kayla Hoffman, an All-American who's just now rounding back into shape.
Nice height on that Yurchenko full. It's a great vault. She's won 7 vault titles last season, and you can see why. Look at that great lift. Very clean.
And an excellent score, 9.90 for Hoffman. And now for Florida, our first look at Alicia Goodwin, who We saw her struggle during the warm-up, Melissa. How hard is that to ignore when you start a routine if your warm-up wasn't good?
Well, mentally, it is a challenge because, you know, she spent a lot of time working on that dismount in warm-ups. So probably the nerves are kicked up a little bit just because of the difficulty in warm-up, and we'll see how that plays in this routine. She's moving very well so far. Nice giant half, and here's that dismount, tuck double, one big hop at the end. And she did stay on her feet, though she was having a lot of trouble with that, falling into warm-ups. And she just held on to that tuck a little bit long. She needs to open up just a little bit earlier.
A 9.90 last week against Michigan State, but only a 9.625, so not a great start for the Gators with their first two bars routines. We'll see if that changes with Amanda Castillo.
And she is a consistent bar performer for the Gators this season. She was second-team All-American as a freshman on this event. You see her nice high Jaeger release move. Cast handstand. All she has left is her dismount. Let's see if she can stick it double layout. One hop at the end. Again, they really have to work at this part of the season and stick in these landings because every tent's going to add up in a competition this close.
No clean landing so far for Florida, but that is the best score the Gators have managed on the bars, a 9.825 for Castillo. And now Lebegern over on the vault.
She's coming off a season best vault at LSU with a 9.875. Yurchenko 1.5 twist. Very difficult because it is a blind landing, and she nailed it. You see, most of the girls have been doing the full. She's added a full and a half, and one slight step on the end there.
It's still an excellent score on that difficult vault, a 9.85. So Alabama's starting to pile up some pretty good scores here in the second rotation. Now for Florida, Miranda Smith.
She's ranked number 10 nationally on the uneven bars. Giant full. Right into her Tkachev. To her bell handstand. You'll see them moving from the high to the low bar, trying to fulfill all the requirements in the routine. Giant half, and watch this dismount. Double front with a half twist, and she nails it. Beautiful.
Boy, there's nothing like the reaction when they nail the landing.
Well, she's added this half twist to her dismount this year, and it took her about a week to learn the new skill. That shows you how talented she is.
And the judges like it. 9.925, a career best for Miranda Smith. Back to the vault, Morgan Dennis, the 5-time All-American.
She's ranked 8th nationally on this event. Great height. Movement on that one.
And a 9.90 for Dennis. So Alabama solid on the vault. The Gators have to respond. And here's Melanie Sinclair, who has twice gotten 10s on the bars.
She's also a first-team All-American, has had trouble with her release moves. You see her Hindorf, no trouble there. Giant full pirouette into her Ginger, beautiful job. A lot of the girls have one release move. She has 2 in her routine. She's been very consistent on this event. You see her dismount, double layout, and a stuck landing. Beautiful.
You wonder if that might be 10 worthy.
It's looking great. You see the beautiful form, and she nails it.
Well, not quite. They take away 5 100ths. Still an outstanding score for Melanie Sinclair of the Gators. And our final bars routine will be Corey Hartung, trying to bounce back after that tough vault.
And she's a great competitor. She has enough experience that she won't let this bother her on this event. One of the great events for her. You see a Stalder handstand. She's scored very well in this event all year. Watch this release move, or Herkina. Very unique, not the typical release move that you see. See if she can finish strong with a double layout. One little hop at the end. It's a great form, beautiful stretch.
And a 9.85 for Hartung. So the Gators, after a couple not so great scores, finished strongly in the uneven bars. We are midway through the meet between Florida and Alabama. And as we expected, a very close meet indeed. The Gators with a slight lead over the Crimson Tide with 2 rotations still to come. Midway through the dual meet between 6th-ranked Florida and number 8 Alabama. And, of course, the Gators and Crimson Tide have quite a history. 2 years ago here in the O'Connell Center was Florida getting the victory. Amanda Castillo and Brianne King helping set the pace for the Gators as they beat Alabama. But last year in Tuscaloosa, the Crimson Tide edged the Gators by just 1/10 of a point. And just to prove how closely matched they are, they went on to SECs a few weeks later and tied for second with the exact same score. Now we go to Florida on the beam, and here's Courtney Gladys.
She's been great for this Gator team. You know, she just earned a scholarship this year, and she is continuing to add events as the year goes on. This is she had added balance beam at the Arkansas meet. Handspring, layout, step out. Because of injuries, they've just had to really change up their lineup and add in some people that weren't planning on competing on certain events. You see a nice side aerial. Straddle jumps. And this is such a crucial position, the leadoff person for balance beam, the pressure, because they want the strongest person, most consistent up at the front so that it will feed into the other girls that are following. So really important position. Inner dismount, round off 1.5 twist, great finish.
Courtney Gladys for Florida.
Taking a look at her series, 2 handsprings, layout, step out. And a beautiful 1.5 twist dismount, very difficult with that blind landing.
9.825 for Gladys. You know, they're talking baseball about how hitting can be contagious. In gymnastics, good beam routines or bad can be contagious as well. Now to the floor, Alabama. Here's Ricky Lebergren.
She scored a career best 9.925 against their first meet against Auburn this year. As we said, she's competed in every event so far this year. First tumbling pass, triple twist, she steps out of bounds.
That'll cost her at least a 10th.
See a front full, front layout. Last week against LSU, she didn't score her best on floor, but she has been very consistent all year for this Alabama team. Alabama always known for great floor routines. This year's no different. All she has left is her last tumbling pass. Olympic handspring, pike double back. Florida fans are always so appreciative of great gymnastics, and it's really, I think, awesome for teams to come in like Alabama and compete with this Florida crowd. It's a great start for Alabama. Taking a look at her second tumbling pass, front full, front layout, and a great finish on that landing.
And a 9.675. Remember, she stepped out on that first path, so that certainly hurt her. Now Melanie Sinclair with a unique mount onto the beam.
I love that front flip onto the side. A little risky. A lot of the girls will start their balance beam with a very simple mount. And I love, that's my favorite skill on the beam. Full twisting back handspring. She does it so well. She's ranked 24th nationally on this event. Gainer into a layout step out. Looking very confident. She has been working a pike double dismount on this event, hasn't been very successful with it, so they've watered down a little bit, just trying to up the scores. Florida having a lot of trouble on the balance beam this year. Let's see how she does on this dismount.
Long pause.
You see a double twist, big hop on the end, but very solid. Beautiful gainer back handspring, layout, step out, and she's right on. And again, watering down to that double twist, but important because it's giving her a lot more confidence on this event.
And a 9.850, so a couple of solid scores to start the rotation for Florida. We'll stay with the Gators. And here's our third look at Malish.
She turned in a collegiate best of a 9.875 on beam at Michigan State last week. Front aerial. Slight little balance check after that. Gearing up for her series, handspring, layout, step out. Full turn, which is a requirement.
How important is the tempo of a beam routine?
It's very important because it can pretty much just show the judges the confidence that you have in that routine. So if you hesitate, if you have bobbles, it's going to reflect in the score. Cat leap into a side aerial. And again, a slight little balance check there. Really is not designed to turn out to the side, but she kind of goes with it. I remember doing that a few times myself.
A couple years ago.
Dismount, double twist. Great landing on that double twist. Nice height. And saving that 10th on the landing.
9.80 for Elizabeth Malish. Now we'll go back to floor. Here is Ashley Priest.
And she's an outstanding gymnast for Alabama. She was the 2006 U.S. World on the U.S. World Cup team. A 7-year member of the U.S. national team, the senior international elite. Here she is starting with a tuck double back. Great height. She made her all-around debut against LSU. Has really worked her way into the lineup in all events. See a lot of concentration on the second pass. Round off, 1.5 twist, front layout. Her dance style, very unique.
You could tell this is a music that would play well with a home crowd. I'm sure they really get into it at Coleman Coliseum when she performs there.
Well, in Alabama, they're averaging about 10,000 people. So coming and, of course, being on the road is challenging, and not having their home crowds is definitely a disadvantage for this Alabama team. Nice double twist. Now, her sister Courtney was a former Alabama gymnast, and she also competed with Alabama teammate Cassie Price on that U.S. World Cup team. Lots of experience in the national and international competitions. Taking a breather for that last pass. On a back handspring, nice high pike double back. A little bit short on the landing. Taking a look at that first pass, tuck double back.
And a solid 9.80 for Alabama's Ashley Priest. Now Miranda Smith, relatively new to the beam in the Gator lineup.
And she was put into the lineup against LSU, training the event for a week.
A week.
And she has done extremely well. Here she is getting ready for her series. One arm back handspring, layout, step out. Again, we talked about the Gators having some injuries this year. They're missing their leadoff on beam, Rebecca Zeisser, who's out for the season with a broken foot. Nice back tuck straddle down. In the media guide, they list all the girls and their routines, and she wasn't even listed on this event. So it shows you the surprise of her coming in on this event, doing a great job.
And you have to admire someone who will add an event, especially a treacherous one like this, to help out the team because of injury problems.
Exactly. And here's her dismount. 1.5 twist, one little step on the end. Nice clean dismount. Again, fighting. We got to fight for those tenths.
You know, Rhonda Fain has to like that. Miranda Smith stepping in there and scoring a 9.775. Now let's go to floor, and this should be a treat Morgan Dennis, 2 years ago, won the NCAA championship on floor.
She was only the 6th Alabama gymnast to win the NCAA title as a freshman. She is awesome. She's an All-American, and she is great to watch on this event. Look at this power. Nice high double layout. You know, when you see double layouts, they kind of whip, purse floats, and you just don't see that too often. It's beautiful.
And the power to get so high off the floor allows her to do that flip much more gradually than most competitors.
Not only was she All-American, but she was also the SEC champion and the regional champion. She's about won it all. Nice high second tumbling pass. A lot of this time before the last tumbling pass, even though they're dancing, they're breathing, they're resting, they're getting ready for that last big tumbling pass. Of course, the gymnasts train very intense for the endurance on this floor. Lots of strength training, lots of spinning classes, and just trying to prepare themselves for the endurance it takes to do this event. Nice high tuck double back. She's not looking tired at all. Great job.
Oh, a sensational routine from Alabama's Morgan Dennis, showing you that All-American form.
And you can definitely see why. Look at the height on these tumbling passes. Double layout, and she is right on.
And that somehow they took a little bit away. I don't know where they found it, but 9.925. Now we go over to balance beam, and just a tremendous competitor in this event, Corey Hartung.
She's one of my favorites to watch on this event. Her flexibility is just beautiful, and it's unique. It's different than some of the other ones. You see there performing a Shushanova, which is normally performed on the floor. She does it so well.
Corey is 5'4", but she looks 6'3" on the beam compared to other gymnasts. And the length of a gymnast can really be artistically just tremendous on this event particularly.
And with that flexibility, everything looks just so beautiful. You see that flexibility showing her scale. Of course, she's a 3-time All-American on this event. Nice front aerial, moving right into a back handspring straddle down. Again, you talked about the rhythm. She's flowing so well from one thing to the next, and those connections are very important. If they don't connect the skills, they will get a deduction. Gator fans loving that skill there.
And you've said before, that full turn's a lot harder than it looks.
It is. It's like the worst skill to have to do in a competition. It's so scary. It's not hard, but you know you have such a risk of falling. And she finishes with a 2.5 twist. She nails it.
Well, we go from one All-American to another.
There's that switch leap into Shushanova, back hip circle around the beam. Again, that part you normally see on the bar, so she's kind of mixing a little from both. And this beautiful 2.5 twist landing, very difficult to land, and she does it perfect.
Well, we've seen some 10-worthy routines this evening, but none that the judges have scored that high, but a 9.95 for Hartung. And the Florida Gators get set for the final rotation with a .250 lead. It comes down to the last routines, and we'll show them. We're just about set for the final rotation of this dual meet between the Florida Gators and the Crimson Tide. It's been all Gators against Alabama this year. In the fall, 2 soccer victories, 2 volleyball victories, a football win in the SEC championship game. And this spring, it's been a couple of basketball wins on the men's and women's side. So Florida 7-0, trying to make it 8-0 against Alabama this school year. We go to Bama on the beam, and here's Ricky Lebegern trying to finish off a very solid night in the all-around. 3 good scores already for Lebegern.
Alabama is ranked #1 in the nation on the balance beam. They've always been a strong balance beam team. Ricky being the 2-time SEC balance beam champion. It's ranked 12th nationally. Back handspring, layout, step out. Full turn. Career best is a 9.925. She's been very consistent in her scoring this year on the balance beam. Switch leap, straddle jump.
You see Coach Sarah Patterson looking on, knowing that they need a strong beam finish to have a chance to make up the .25 there behind Florida.
Switch side. And I'll say it's very challenging to compete on the road, not because of the fans necessarily, but because the equipment is different. And sometimes people don't think about that, especially the balance beam. Nice side summy. Your teammates cheering in the background. Nice double twist, perfect landing. This is the kind of landings that we're looking for. Very solid, very clean. Coach Patterson excited about that beam routine.
And with good reason, a 9.850 for Lebegern. Now we go to floor, and here's Florida's Amy Ferguson, a walk-on. One of 4 members of her family that are currently students at the University of Florida.
She's performing to the music drum line. First tumbling pass, double twist forward. Can only imagine what it must be like having a freshman lead off on the floor exercise and a walk-on, and she's just done outstanding this year. Second pass, nice high 1.5 twist, immediate front layout. And she's got just great personality. I love this floor routine. She's really selling it to the crowd. Florida lost 3 high scores from floor exercise from last year, but really hasn't hurt them on this event this year. They're ranked number 2 nationally on the floor exercise.
And the best thing about being at home is you get to finish on floor while the other team has to finish on that treacherous beam.
So front full, front layout. It's a great start for the Gators on the floor exercise. Great tumbling, nice high front double twist. So that 1.5 twist, front layout, great body position.
And a 9.825 for Ferguson, her 3rd in a row, and that nice job of setting the stage for the rest of the Gator floor routines. And here's Melanie Sinclair.
Now she has added her double layout back in after opening with a different pass for the last 2 meets. Been experimenting with the routines, trying to see what's hitting, what's not, trying to make those adjustments as they head into a really tough part of their season. Another nice high double layout. And she is such a performer. This Gator audience just loves her. I think it's hard to concentrate and smile at the same time, but she does a great job. Front layout, front full. She's ranked number 9 nationally in the all-around. Let me just say this, 8 of the top 9 are from the SEC.
Well, that's not a surprise when you look at the team rankings and you find 6 of the nation's top 10 teams are Southeastern Conference teams. I mean, the SEC meet will be at a higher level than the national semifinals.
It's going to be a great meet this year. She's a 6-time All-American. She placed 3rd in the all-around at NCAAs last year, leading session 1. Nice high pike double back for her finish. That's a strong floor routine for Florida. Love to watch her. You can just feel that energy coming from her. There's that beautiful double layout. And again, look at the power and the lift on this pike double back, and it's at the end of the routine.
And a solid 9.850 for Melanie Sinclair of the Gators. Now we go back and pick up Alabama on the beam. They have already had 1 fall. So it is crucial that Alabama finish strongly on the beam, or they'll have to count a fall.
Now, she has not competed in every beam lineup this year. There's been a last-minute change to the lineup, removing Caitlin Sullivan, and putting in Morgan Dennis, which is a great switch because she is the 2008 SEC beam champion along with 2 of her teammates. Back handspring, layout, step out, beautiful. Career best is a 9.9, switch side leap. A little trouble on that full turn. She's in a tough position right now following that fall. And you see a front aerial and a slip. Very dangerous looking fall.
There's such a small landing area. If you're off just an inch, it's the difference between staying on and falling off. And for Alabama, that means they have to count a fall. And they would need Florida to have multiple mistakes on the floor in order to stay in this team competition.
It's so uncharacteristic for Alabama. Their season high was at 49.30 on this event. So counting falls for them, you just don't see very often. Even there, she had a mistake after her switch leap. She was supposed to connect it with something else, and she's just lost her train of thought.
And it's like we talked about, Melissa, it's one feeds the other. It's just you can get on a roll where you're having trouble on the beam, and each gymnast kind of follows in that pattern.
Well, and the girl, the coaches have such a challenge trying to figure out those lineups and to figure out who's going to hit one week and who's not. Tuck double back, hands down, that's going to be a 310 deduction at least, and just very difficult beam routine for Morgan Dennis. There's that front arrow, foot just slipped right off the beam. And again, it is, as I said, a challenge competing on different equipment. Sometimes your foot just, off just a hair, it makes such a big difference. And she pretty much had just, I think, given up after those last couple mistakes in the routine.
It's an 8.625. That won't score for Alabama, but it does mean another fall will have to count. Now the Gators can win it with solid floor routines, and Corey Hartung is next.
She's an All-American on this event. She's been an All-American every single year. She's ranked 11th nationally on this event, and when you see this routine, you'll know why. It's beautiful choreography, beautifully executed. Always incorporating her flexibility and beautiful dance skills. She starts with a double front twist. Every Florida gymnast has new music and a new routine this year for the season. There's a triple twist, very difficult skill. A lot of times you'll see them having trouble getting that last little bit of the twist around. She had no problem. And the tumbling's so exciting, but I really enjoy watching the great choreography and how well they do on their dance part of the routine as well. Nice 1.5 twist.
And just like we saw on beam, she incorporates her flexibility into her floor routine quite a bit.
All she has left is her last pass. Whip into double twist. Love that pass, and look at that landing. Feet didn't even budge. And there's a gator chomp. A little different. Each girl has a gator chomp in their routine. She does it with her legs. Very unique choreography. It's a great tumbling. There's that front double twist. She steps over just a little bit. That'll cost her. Again, she's a great twister. There's that triple twist.
Corey Hartung with a 9.825. More gator floor routines coming up after this timeout. The O'Connell Center in Gainesville, the site of the Florida-Alabama dual meet, and we've got time to show you the final 3 floor routines for the Gators, starting with Miranda Smith, going all around tonight.
She's ranked 4th nationally on the floor exercise. Had a collegiate best 9.925 against Michigan State last week. First tumbling pass, full twist and double back, high position, and a step out of bounds. And some of these gymnasts are so powerful they can't control their own power, and just got to work harder to land these tumbling passes and stay in bounds.
And how hard is it concentration-wise when you have a mistake early and you still have a lot of stuff to do.
Well, that's the sign of a great gymnast, is just to rebound and not let that stuff get in the way. Front full, front layout. And of course, she looks so relaxed, even the step out of bounds. She knows she still needs to finish strong. Nice high pike double back. Great finish. And great choreography. There's that full twist and pike double back, her favorite skill to perform, and I can see why. It's very difficult, very powerful. There's that front full into a front layout.
And Smith pulled it together enough to score 9.750. And that's the thing in a team competition, even if you step out early, you know that if you finish well, if the team has to count your score, you need to score as highly as you can from that point forward. Now Courtney Gladys has had a couple good routines already tonight.
She's upgraded her floor exercise this year. And again, as we said, she keeps adding events as the year goes on. It's been great for this Florida team to step in and fill in for the gymnasts that are struggling or injured. Nice start with a tuck double back. And really selling her routine to the crowd. It's always great to see them smiling. You can tell that they're having so much fun. Front full, front layout. She competed as international elite during 2000 and 2002. She returned to gymnastics in 2006 after a 3-year absence, which to me is almost unheard of. Very difficult to come back at the collegiate level and get back in shape and get ready to compete in the SEC.
Courtney really working the crowd, and it's always interesting if you watch the facial expressions. They change a lot just before the start of a tumbling run. There's no more smiling.
A little bit of focus come in there, yes, definitely. You can see the intensity, and 1.5 twist front layout, and there comes the smile. Beautiful routine for Courtney. You can tell she's having a great time out there. Nice clean tumbling pass. There's that 1.5 into a front layout. Her foot kind of slipped out there. Nothing major though.
And a 9.80. And our final routine of the night, Elizabeth Malish.
She's had some trouble in the last meet on her final pass, which resulted in a season low 9.275. But she's anchoring this Florida team on floor exercise, needs a great score here.
How much does it help her relax that the first 5 routines were all solid, no problem?
It's huge, because I was usually in this position in the lineup, and it is so huge knowing that your score doesn't have to count necessarily. That's a beautiful start with a triple twist. Yeah, your performance depends a lot on what the others did before you, so you can definitely feel much more relaxed. Front layout, front layout. And as we said, Florida's been awesome on this event. Of course, I don't remember a year that Florida hasn't been great on the floor exercise. They had the highest team score of any team in the country with a 49.45, which is just incredible. See her teammates on the side getting into the routine, having lots of fun. All she has to do is nail this last tumbling pass. Lots of concentration on this pass. A 1.5 twist. Very tough finish. And there's that gator chomp that's in every gator's routine. Taking a look at this tumbling. There's her triple twist, executed very well. And that 1.5 twist forward.
And a 9.825. So Florida solid with all of their floor routines. Bama struggled on the beam. We'll check out the final scores between Florida and Alabama. The 7th largest crowd in O'Connell Center history, 7,047 for Gator Gymnastics, and they saw a fine performance by the orange and blue as Florida took on Alabama. Let's check out the results on the vault. A 4-way tie for first, 9.90. A couple of Gators and a couple of Alabama gymnasts sharing the top spot. On the uneven bars, that great performance from Melanie Sinclair heads up a 1-2 Florida finish. Miranda Smith of the Gators finishing second. Then we move over to balance beam where Corey Hartung's 9.95 set the standard. Melanie Sinclair and Ricky Lebergern following up there. And on floor exercise, Morgan Dennis, the All-American, the 2007 NCAA champ, wins it, but 4 Gators follow in the scoring there. Individual all-around is won by Melanie Sinclair, the Gator, by 2/10 over teammate Miranda Smith, with Lebergern finishing in third place from the Crimson Tide of Alabama. The Gators win it over the Crimson Tide. Now let's hear from some of the victorious Florida Gators.
Well, I think they're getting more comfortable in their position, in their role. We had so many lineup changes in the early part of the season due to injuries, and that's always a difficult thing for the athletes mentally. And I think now they're finally starting to settle down a little bit, like I said, get comfortable, and they're starting to really kind of own their position in the lineup.
Well, I'm very, very excited, of course. We just came out here, had fun, did what we've been doing in practice. You know, we still had a little mistakes, but, you know, we just have to learn from those. It's still the middle of the season, so, you know, next meet we have to work on those mistakes and get an even better score. But overall, I'm so excited. We've come, like, so far since the beginning.
I felt like I kind of had something to prove because the last couple meets I've had little slip-ups here and there. So I've really been trying to put my mind in the right set and train hard in the gym and just try to be clear, my mind clear whenever I come out here on the floor and not get all flustered with the crowd and like the judges and everything. So just getting out and like having fun and doing gymnastics.
And the crowd certainly had fun as well as the Gators posted their high score of the season for 2009. The 6th-ranked Florida Gators defeating Alabama. Our thanks to our entire crew, including our producer, John Rubin, director Jerry Wetzel. For Melissa Miller-Schubeck, I'm Larry Vittel. Good night.